Hi, I'm Dawn Priolette, the Soulmate Psychic, and for today's video, what I'd like to tap with you on is fear about getting married. Now, the reason why this is so crucial to release this fear is because if you have a fear of marriage, what you will tend to do is you will tend to unconsciously attract men who are not even close to being appropriate for you. You will tend to attract men who are unavailable in some way. Usually they're married to somebody else, or very often they're married to their work, or they've got some other kind of addiction going on that makes it so that there's no way in hell that it's ever going to really work out. And on an unconscious level, you already know that. And so, the other reason why it's so important to get rid of this fear about marriage is, of course, if these are the kind of guys that you're attracting, you don't ever have to worry about attracting a soulmate, because that won't happen. So, what I'd like you to do is to write down. I want you to take some time, pause this video. Please take the time to do this because it's really important. Pause the video and get a piece of paper and something to write with, and I want you to just sit down and write down every possible fear or limiting belief that you have about marriage. Just really let yourself brainstorm. What are the negative limiting thoughts and beliefs that you have about marriage? And then when you're done, then you can come back and I'll take you through a meridian tapping exercise and we're going to clear that up. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so if you're back now, I take it that you have done the exercise that I've asked you to do, and you have written down your fears on a piece of paper, your fears about marriage. And they can be fears such as, I'm afraid I'll be trapped. Another one, a common one, is I'm afraid I'll lose my freedom. Another one, I'm afraid that he might have a Jekyll and Hyde personality. What if he's really nice before we get married, and then as soon as we get married, he turns into another person? How many of you have had that happen in relationships where, they let their guard down after a while? Another common one might be, I won't be able to have friendships. That's also a part of losing your freedom. Another one might be, I'm afraid that he'll take me for granted if I marry him. Okay, so whatever your reasons are, though, what we're going to do is I want you to look at that list of all your fears and limiting beliefs about marriage, and we're going to basically do meridian tapping for all of these beliefs and fears about marriage. So we're going to pretend that we're going to bundle it up. We're putting them all in one bag, and we are going to tap all of those right out of our system, because we don't need to hold on to those anymore, because that's really going to stop you from meeting the one. So let's get rid of that now. So to do the meridian tapping, we're going to start out tapping on the karate chop point, which is right here on the side of your hand. And just repeat after me out loud or in your mind, whichever one feels most comfortable. Okay, here we go. Even though I have all these fears about marriage, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I really haven't seen very good things in my life when it comes to marriage, and I really have a lot of fear about it, I deeply and completely love, trust, and accept myself. Even though I am so afraid of getting married, There's part of me that wants it. There's part of me that wants to have that close relationship. But there's part of me that just knows it's going to be a disaster. It'll ruin the relationship. But I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now tap on the top of the head and repeat after me. These fears about marriage. And the beginning of the eyebrow now. All these fears that I have about marriage. Now the end of the eyebrow. All these fears about marriage. I wonder if it's safe to let them go. Underneath the eye. All these fears about marriage. I'd like to let them go now. Under the nose. All these fears about marriage. And right in the crease of the chin, all these fears about marriage. Okay, stop for a minute, take a deep breath. And now, we're going to just assume that when we started at a 10 as far as how true all these fears felt. Now I know that a lot of these fears aren't really rational, but that's the way feelings are. They're very seldom rational. However, when we started, they probably felt pretty true to you, according to your own experience. So now I want you to look at those fears and kind of read them off a little bit, read through them, and then I want you to think about, if I were to ask you from 0 to 10, how true do those fears and those limiting beliefs feel to you right now? And let's say you're down to about a 5 now. So then what we're going to do is we're going to tap through it one more time. And this is how you do that. You start on the karate chop point again. And this time you say, even though I still have some of these fears and limiting beliefs about marriage, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though there's still this little part of me that has these fears about marriage, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though there's still this little part of me that doesn't want to let go of these fears about marriage. They've kept me safe all these years. And now let's go to the top of the head. All these fears about marriage, these remaining fears about marriage. And the beginning of the eyebrow, these remaining fears about marriage. Side of the eye, these remaining fears about marriage. Under the eye, these remaining fears about marriage. Under the nose, these remaining fears about marriage. And on the chin, these remaining fears about marriage. And take a deep breath and just release that energy. And then once again, go back, look at all these fears and limiting beliefs that you have written down, and then take another measurement from 0 to 10. How true do all these fears and limiting beliefs feel to you? Now, if it is anything other than a 0, and a 0 would be, these don't feel true at all. I don't believe this at all. Okay, but if it's anything, if it's still a 1, 2, 3, just go through and you can tap that sequence again as I've just showed you. Now, in another video, I am going to show you how to remove the energy of this fear about marriage. But it's important first to go through and really tap on all of these fears that you have. It's really important to do this work first. And I'll see you in the next video.